Story 1. The Dragon Children. Hush now, silly girl. You know there ain't no sense in crying and carrying on like that. Opening one eye, I stared down at the small humans who had disrupted my rest. There were 2 of them. A dark-haired boy who looked no older than 12 summers or so, and a much younger girl with short-cropped, dirty blonde hair. The girl was clinging to the boy's leg, her face pressed against it as she sobbed and shivered with fear. "I'm here, aren't I?" the boy said. "And I ain't never let nothing bad happen to you before, have I?" The girl shook her head, but still refused to let go of his leg. "I'm telling you, a dragon ain't nothing but a big lizard with bad breath and wings." Rousing myself, I spoke, ever so slightly offended at the boy's words and tone. "Hatchling, have you no respect for your elders?" The boy started, evidently surprised that I could speak his tongue. "When your grandfather's grandfather was a baby in the crib, I was already old beyond words. I have soared the skies since the dawn of Earia. The beauty of my scales and the majesty of my size, inspiring awe in all who have laid eyes upon me." With a deafening roar, I reared back my long, thick serpentine neck. A plume of white-hot flame shot forth from my gullet, splitting the clouds above and searing the air around us. Snapping my jaws shut, I continued speaking. "The flames of my belly burn hotter than any other. Entire kingdoms have known my fiery wrath, their people displaced, and their once beautiful cities reduced to naught but smoldering ruins. I am known by many names. Eldest, the Lord of the Skies, the Soaring Flame, and many more beyond counting. Every race calls me by a unique moniker, but all speak it with fear and respect. So tell me, younglings, who are you to disturb my rest?" Satisfied with my display of majestic ferocity, I once again looked down upon my diminutive visitors, rightfully expecting them to be awed and cowed by my presence. To my utter bemusement, both boy and girl were merely standing there, pinching their noses shut and grimacing. "Eh?" In my confusion, my previous tone of grandeur slipped ever so slightly. "What's this? Have you both gone mad from fear? It is understandable, for I am quite worthy of such a reaction." The boy shook his head, seemingly unable to speak. Surprisingly, it was the girl who spoke up. "Mr. Dragon," she squeaked out, in barely audible tones, "you are very scary, but your breath, it is very, very stinky." I sat heavily back upon my haunches, the ground around me shaking with the impact. "Stinky, you say?" I absent-mindedly scratched at the underside of my chin with one long talon as I considered her words. "I assure you, young one, my breath is perfectly normal and healthy-smelling for a dragon. I make sure to chew copious amounts of stone to keep my fangs sharp and strong, and regularly exhale the flames of my belly to keep them clean and free from decay." Looking down at his bare, dirty feet, the boy mumbled something inaudible. "What was that? Speak up, boy. If you are to address me, do so in a manner befitting of my station." Looking up, Now, with a defiant gleam in his eyes, the boy spoke. I said, maybe if you had the decency to not go around blowing smoke everywhere, the smell wouldn't be a problem. Smells worse than the smokehouse or the cesspits in the village, it does. Downright rude and disgusting. I am a dragon, I roared, shaking the rocks and pebbles that lay strewn all about the rocky canyon. That is what we do. We are beings of fire and destruction. To us, the smell of brimstone and sulfur is the most beautiful scent imaginable. Once again, I reared back, preparing to launch another glorious plume of flame, but was stopped when I spotted the children cowering down, covering their faces in fearful anticipation. Maybe one display was enough for now, I grumbled. Now tell me, why did you feel the need to come all the way out here? I chose this area specifically because it is far away from the dwellings of your kind. I wished to rest and think, free from the meddling of small folk such as yourselves. The boy stood straight, and after patting the girl on the head, spoke once again. It's not like we wanted to be bothering you. We didn't have much of a choice. When you came down from the north a week ago, flying over our village, roaring and breathing your nasty fire, everyone panicked. We were sure that you were going to do something horrible, and even when you just kept on flying towards this here canyon, the grown-ups were all sure that you would be back eventually. I looked at the two tiny humans quizzically. But why? Why would they send you two? Did they believe you would be able to sneak up on me while I slumbered and put an end to me? You do not appear to even be carrying any weapons. Not that they would have done you any good. I also scented the both of you when you were still half a day's journey away. So surprise was never a viable option. What were your elders thinking, sending you younglings on such a forlorn quest? The boy's face had grown surly once more. He looked down and kicked at a pebble near his feet. We ain't here to hurt you. We're here because those jerks back home thought you might leave everyone else alone if they sent you an easy meal. We ain't nothing but a bribe. A group of men from our village walked us all the way out here before turning round and heading their sorry tails home. Bunch of cowards they are. A few apologized to us before leaving, but the rest wouldn't even look us in the faces. What of your parents? I asked. What did they have to say about sending their own children out upon such perilous a journey? It was the girl who spoke this time, her voice trembling. Mom and Daddy caught the sickness a few years ago, the real bad one that swept through our whole village. One day, they kissed us goodnight and laid down in their big bed, and then just never woke up. The girl could not hold back her tears any longer. I watched silently as they ran down her dirty face, leaving streaks in the grime. The boy, whom I now knew to be her brother, hugged her close to him, his own tears mingling with hers. I allowed them a short time to console each other. I found myself feeling sorrow for these forlorn, tiny creatures. So young, so fragile, alone with no one to watch over them as they grew, no one to shield them from the horror and ugliness of the world. As the boy once again stood, one hand held protectively on his sister's shoulder, he looked upwards defiantly, meeting my gaze with a fierce determination that was the match of any hardened soldier or regal monarch. There you have it. The other villagers were always talking about what a waste of space the two of us were anyway, even though we worked as hard as anyone else in that place. We can't help it that we're small, that we can't do everything a grown-up can, but we tried our very best not to be a bother. We never stole nothing, not even when our bellies were rumbling hard enough to make us cry. We worked all day and never complained about the crust of bread and fatty scraps that were thrown to us like dogs." The boy broke off, looking away as fresh tears formed in his eyes. As gentle as a dragon can, I asked for their names. "Habish," mumbled the boy as he wiped his eyes clean. "My name's Jerriah, Mr. Dragon," the girl said excitedly, looking up into my large cat-pupiled eyes. "Can we know your name? It must be something awful wonderful and important sounding, seeing as you're so big and frightful." "I am known by those I call friends as Baldyr, Habish, Jerriah. They are good names. Your sires chose well. Leave in peace, children. I have no intention of eating such small morsels as yourself. Dragons of my size and age no longer feel the need to eat. We subsist on the warmth of the sun and the currents of the air. Two snacklings such as yourselves would not be a meaningful meal for even the smallest of my kind anyway. Return to your village. Tell them that I will bring no harm to your people. I wish only to rest for a while, and to ponder the meaning of things." Saying so, I closed my eyes and prepared myself for a long, hopefully peaceful nap. However, no sooner had I begun to drift off, I was awoken by a gentle tap upon one of my tail spikes. It was the girl, shaking, despite my earlier assurances. "Mr. Baldyr, do we have to go back? The people at home, they don't really like us. What if they won't let us come back?" "What other options do you have, child?" I grumbled sleepily. "You cannot hope to survive on your own in the wilderness. You need others of your kind to show you how to live and grow." Could we stay with you?" I looked at her for a quiet moment before turning my head to her brother. "What say you, Habish? Would you rather live among the company of your own race, or in the harsh outskirts of society with, as you put it earlier, a big, stinky lizard?" Habish scratched his dirty hair in thought before answering. "Jerriah is probably right. If those meanies back home don't have a problem with feeding us to some monster." At this, the boy sheepishly looked away. A dragon? Then surely they aren't expecting us to come back. They probably would just run us right back out the village. What if we work for you? We don't ask for nothing for free. Surely there are spots on your body that you have trouble reaching, itches you can't scratch, scales you can't clean. What if we made ourselves useful?" "Do what you wish, but do not expect this life to be easy. There will be hardship and danger. I am quite fierce, but even one such as myself cannot guarantee your well-being. Now, hush, snacklings. I must rest." As I closed my eyes once again, I felt the two children huddle up close against my side. Unable to help myself, I smiled, unfurling one of my large bat-like wings and placing it securely around them. "Rest now, and know that, for today at least, you will have peace and safety." The end.